Yeah.
How does it feel to be retired?
Well, I don't know. It's the second week. So people ask me, what does it feel like? I said, I don't know. I've never been here before. So last week I spent cutting down some dead trees and pushing up some brush with my old backhoe in the country, and it was wonderful. There's just so many things that that have been involved with that take a long time. And there's something about bush hogging, and you look right behind you and you see you've finished it. It's done. It looks good. So it's like that instant gratification. That you did a job well done and you could see the results of it. And
chamber work is not instant gratification.
There's not a lot of instant gratification. I mean, you work on a project. You may work on a project for 2 or 3 or 4 years. Sometimes you get lucky and you get them, and sometimes you don't get them. If you don't get them, what do you have to show for it? A lot of hard work, a lot of experience, a big thick files, but there's not that gratification to say, hey, look, we finished second in economic development. That doesn't matter. You got to finish first.
26 and a half years running one chamber is a long time, right?
Right.
What's the average lifespan of a chamber director?
Probably about 5 to 7 years max.
So 5 times long, 5 times average.
Yeah, I tell people it shows how tolerant the community is. They put up with a lot, or not much, for a long time. Well, I've said this publicly, so I guess it's okay to say it now privately. This is private, right?
No, that's not. You're on the record, brother.
I'm on the record? Wow. That when I first moved here, I described it that the community had what I called an Eeyore mentality. It was, well, we tried that once. Well, unless a few certain folks decide that they can do that, it ain't going to happen. Well, this is Columbus, And so I heard, just a lot of that. In fact, the chamber at that time, the person, just to show you where kind of the chamber was, we had the same person ran small business, military affairs, and governmental affairs.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And you got one of the biggest military bases around, and you don't have somebody full-time taking care of them, etc. So I described it as an Eeyore mentality. It was, oh, poor us, this is the way it's always been. That's just the way Columbus is, that kind of thing. And over time, started seeing the development of more of a what I'll call a can-do attitude, a positive attitude. Well, why can't we? I mean, we as leaders didn't even fully appreciate where the community was ready to go.
How do you balance the equation of the small business people that maybe have 7, 8 employees, and the Aflacs, theses, and novices? How do you balance the way you service that wide of range?
One, you try to keep enough of them involved and engaged that you can hear what they want, what they need, what their concerns are, trying to keep the pipeline open so that the big boys will say, hey, listen, we need some help with this, or we've got an issue here that somebody needs to help us with. 80% of the resources also come from the 20% of the big boys. There's an editorial in one of my thesis files where the editorial in Huntsville, Alabama was congratulating themselves on getting the thesis campus. I got a copy of their editorial in the Huntsville paper. I'll give it to you.
Was thesis that close to leaving?
Huntsville thought they were. I mean, Huntsville was patting themselves on the back that they felt like they were going to get the big expansion of thesis to come to Huntsville, Alabama. It's in the file. So there's that balancing act, that you couldn't say, well, listen, y'all don't matter because it's about this big boy. They do matter. Small businesses do matter. So sometimes it's it's a real delicate balancing act of how do you keep your membership happy. It's kind of like a church. How do you keep your whole congregation happy? Because some of them don't like your modern music, and some of them want this kind of music, and some of them don't like this, and some of them don't like that. So it is a balancing act of trying to find the right balance so that hopefully you keep the masses happy. You deal with those church members? Very much I've seen in my career as well.
Your father was a pastor where?
In South Carolina, around Sumter.
What denomination?
Free Will Baptist. I love speaking. I love getting in front of a group and see if I can make them laugh, see if I can make them listen, and hopefully plant some seeds. And every now and then somebody will come up afterwards and say, "I needed that. Thank you." Well, then you did what you needed to do. Sometimes I like humor. I find that sometimes humor can get things out on the table that maybe would be a little awkward, very awkward if you didn't use some humor. But I love humor. I mean that's just me. That's my makeup. And sometimes it's in the heat of the moment. Something will come to you, you see something, somebody said something, and then you have a funny line that just kind of comes out that way. But there's a lot of parallel with the church. Think about it. The church, you depend upon members to what? Pay tithes.
Yeah.
The chamber depends upon members to pay dues. You can still go to church and not tithe. You can still benefit from the chamber and not ever be a member, not ever pay. You pay dollars to benefit for hiring a staff. That's very much like us. You pay dollars to pay the bill and pay for a building that you can go and worship in, very much like the chamber. And a lot of what we do, if you will, not being sacrilegious, but a lot of what we do is about tomorrow. It's about making it a better place. It's about what can we do to help God's world be a better place to live and work.
Should economic development be in a private source like a chamber, or should economic development be a city department?
I can show you examples all over the country of all kind of different models. The key, I think, is what works best for that community. What fits here may not fit in Phoenix City, may not fit in wherever. We've had, as you know, several times people from Macon have been over to talk about us and talk about, y'all are so lucky and y'all got so much stuff going on. And I think one thing is that Columbus, for the most part, has had more of a common vision. Now, we got a lot of people in the choir singing a lot of different parts, etc., and we don't always hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But when there are things that I think really matter, the big stuff, we typically find that the community is surrounding it and supporting it and so forth. So we're singing with not one voice, but at least a choir that seems to be working together. I would imagine most other parts of the state would love to have a TSIS headquartered in their town. They'd love to have an AFLAC International headquarters in their town. They'd love to have a philanthropic company like W.C. Bradley Company located in their town. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, those are such big, gigantic footprints internationally. So, envy, I'm sure there's some enviness, but I think it'd probably be, we'd like to have, absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Toward the end of your career, you had a situation where you got accused of making a racial remark. And that ended up being a very high-profile incident. Have you thought about that process, what happened there? How have you thought about what happened there?
I think any leader is always subject to being the target. And if the stars line up right, you'll be the target.
You think you were targeted?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Now, anybody that knows me knows that was a totally unfair target. That I like jokes and I'm a clownster, and it was 10:30 at night and everybody is tired, worn out, etc. And it's Halloween, etc., etc. So I'm playing the ghost. For the people who took that to say it was racial, I became the target. I became the target. People who know me know that totally had nothing to do with who I am and what I am and so forth. But, if you've already made up your mind, you can always find something to validate that you were right. What that lesson showed me, Chuck, is that one, you know who your friends really are. And you find out who your friends really are. When your back's against the wall, when folks are really, really testing you, you find out what you're made of, and you find out what others are made of as well. I don't know any perfect people. I got emails, I got phone calls, I got support from people that I didn't know who they were. And basically what they said was, this is so unfortunate, we know you. We really know you. Back to that good name. So, it was
many people wouldn't have survived that. Why did you survive it?
I think because I was honest. I was honest with the person. I was honest with the leadership that wanted to know what happened. Hey, here's what happened. I was clowning around at 10:30 at night. It was Halloween. I'm a ghost. And I became a target of racial stuff for whatever reasons they decided to do that and so forth. I think you survive things like that if you can't call in your chits when something happens. People have to either trust you or don't trust you. They support you or they don't support you. And that is one incident of how many 26 and a half years worth of incidents of things that other employees, I could tell you stories about employees that would just make you cry, that employees said, thank you for doing it, thank you for caring, thank you for sharing, thank you, you helped save me, da 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 da. But those never make your headlines. Those never make the real highly explosive stuff. It's just life.
Did you think about leaving back then? Did you think about not fighting it and just saying, I'm done with this and going?
Well, sure, you think about it, but I'm not a quitter. I don't run away and just because somebody accuses you of something. I mean, Lord, look what they did to Jesus Christ. And they killed him.
So you've hit the season now where you've left your job, you left it 1st November. Why now? Why did you leave now?
Why not?
Why?
38 and a half years I told the board I've had 320 board meetings since being here. 462 board meetings in my career. If I never go to another board meeting, I'll be happy. I mean, it takes its toll of every day, 24/7, whether you're in a grocery store, whether you're wherever you are, you're the chamber guy, and I love it, and that's part of that goes with the job. That's a wonderful thing about the job. You're involved 24/7. You don't go to church without somebody going, hey, can I talk to you about this? Can I ask you about that? It's part of the job. It's part of that persona that I loved, that I enjoyed. There are several reasons. One was I have elderly mother and dad, 88 and 87.
They're still in South Carolina?
They're still in South Carolina. For the last 26 and a half years, I've run home when I could, about every 3 or 4 months. Spend 2 days trying to help get things going, trying to help do things, and leave and come back and call them on Monday. Did y'all follow up? Did you get this done? Did you go ahead and call the doctor? Did you?
So now you're more involved in that.
So, one of the things that helped me decide it was time to retire was that one of the things that helped me say that was, my mother and dad need me now, and I can give back to them. And now history will show whether somebody said, man, you're going to have hard shoes to fill. Well, time will tell. I'm sure a new person coming in, they'll be able to hit the ground in some areas and run and go, man, wow, why didn't we do this before? Well, that's a good question. We just didn't.
Are you done working, or are you going to be the retired guy?
What I've said to myself and my wife, who's very happy that I've decided to retire, by the way, and that's important. That is very important. Because she knows what the job takes. She knows the phone calls that you get on holidays with people ripping your lips off because you dared to talk to somebody and didn't go through them and so forth. She has lived through all of those kinds of things. So she's very happy that, okay, now we can just spend some time together. We can do a little bit of traveling. We can take care of your mom and dad. We can go up to the country and spend a week and not have to hurry and get back and so forth. So that was very, very important to me, that she was very happy with it. So what I've said is going to take November, December, and just kind of debrief.